You know what? I've been around for a while. I've traveled the world, met some interesting people, done some crazy things. So you might just think there's not much that could take me by surprise. You'd be wrong. The world is full of stories and science and things that amaze and confound me every single day. Incredible mysteries that keep me awake at night. Some I can answer. Others just defy logic. Like the heart transplant patient who undergoes an uncanny transformation, assuming the personality of his donor, scientists ask, could the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde be real? Yep. It's a weird world. And I love it. You don't need me to tell you that modern medicine is utterly remarkable. The kind of procedures that only existed in the realm of science fiction 50 years ago are now commonplace. Take heart failure. Still the world's biggest killer, but these days, if you're lucky, doctors can transplant a healthy heart into your chest. Within weeks, you can be up and running with a whole new lease on life, thanks to the kindness of some recently departed donor. Incredible. But as this next weird tale will reveal, transplant patients may be getting more than they bargained for. Not simply someone else's heart, but their personality, too.
I had worked very hard and I had sold my soul for the greenback. I was a fat, out-of-shape businessman, not taking care of himself. My exercise regime was going to 2 banks each day to deposit and walking to my office, which was across the driveway from the home we had built.
Bill Wall was obsessed with making money. But when he suffered a massive heart attack in 1999, his life changed forever.
They told me a number of times I was their worst cardiac case ever.
Bill needed a new heart, and on February 22, 2000, a suitable organ became available. The donor was a Hollywood stuntman named Brady Michaels, a fit, focused, passionate man who tragically died doing the job he loved. Brady's death would ultimately save Bill Wall's life.
I remember waking up that afternoon very sore, but I had a new heart and I was smiling. I was grinning from ear to ear because I was so thankful, because living in the hospital, you get to appreciate, and if you're smart, you learn love, patience, tolerance, and understanding, because there's so many angry people in the world.
But after his operation, Bill says he started acting in strange new ways.
Well, the first thing that really shocked me was that day driving to work. I usually listen to classic hard rock, Led Zeppelin, things like that. Don't ask me why, but that morning I flipped it to like a jazz station. And I'm driving to work and I hear this song. And it was Sade, The Kiss of Life. And I started crying and it was like butter going through a knife. And I usually don't cry. It takes a lot to make me cry. And here I was, like freaking out.
Bill learned later that his heart's donor, Brady Michaels, was also a jazz aficionado. According to Bill, the transplant didn't just change his musical tastes, it also changed his vocabulary.
And it's really funny, I can tell you as a cutthroat businessman, the surfer lingo and dude did not fit into my character. It just, big CEOs or working with people like a Paul Allen or a Jerry Reinsdorf, they didn't know from dude. They didn't want to hear that.
He also found he was copying Michael's taste for healthy food.
He was a health nut. He was very big on salads. In the old days, if there weren't French fries, if there wasn't a steak or a lobster tail or something fried, it wasn't going to happen. Now once in a while as a treat I'll have something like that, but I actually love salads. And one other little thing, when I work out I found, and when I drive now, I'm drumming and I'm beating, and I never had a beat before. And now I've gotten pretty good with it, especially when I'm in the gym working out. I play my music, and I rock in the gym. I'm totally oblivious.
Most astonishingly, Bill's new heart transformed him from an overweight couch potato into a physical fitness freak, just like Brady Michaels. Bill believes that in taking Brady Michaels' heart, he has taken some of Michaels' personality.
I'm living with a part of him that he's blessed me. And with that blessing has come some ideas and thoughts and characteristics that have kind of melded and become a part of my everyday life.
Wow, this is all very weird. I told you it was weird. A guy gets a heart transplant and he believes he got a bonus. You got the donor's personality too. And it's more than the heart. Think about it. There are thousands of other transplants done each year. Lungs, kidneys, livers. If this guy is right, are those people getting their donors' personalities as well? Is this even possible? Bill Wall's remarkable story suggests something that common sense says cannot be. Could our organs really store the essence of our being? Can one person's body assimilate the personality of someone long since dead? Psychology professor Dr. Gary Schwartz thinks so.
If all tissues could store information and energy, then if a tissue was removed from one person and was surgically placed in another, there would be a transplant not only of the matter, but of the memory as well. Bill's case is not all that unusual when compared to other extraordinary cases.
Schwartz has researched the transfer of memory for 30 years and has tracked down some 70 cases of similar donor stories.
I have seen too many cases of uncanny and accurate parallels for me to question whether there's a phenomenon here.
In 1988, Claire Sylvia received the heart and lungs of a young man who died in a motorcycle accident. After the operation, she develops a new taste for beer, green peppers, and chicken nuggets, things her former self would never have eaten. The donor's parents tell her that their son Tim loved nothing more than beer and green peppers, and chillingly, on the night Tim died, he was riding his motorcycle with a box of chicken nuggets in his pocket.
There are examples from Bill's case which indicate the specificity above and beyond simple changes in diet or exercise, which a lot of people might do because they had a heart transplant.
Can't these personality changes be explained as a reaction to a brush with death, or even as side effects of the powerful anti-rejection drugs used after transplant surgery?
The first thing we want to entertain are conventional explanations like side effects of the drugs, stress of the surgery, or just changes in philosophy of life.
The side effects from major organ transplant are mostly related to the immunosuppression that's required because the recipient immune system wants to fight against the new organ. And so they're given drugs and medication to tame down their immune system. And most of the side effects and toxicity come from these immunosuppressant drugs that reduce the response of the body to the new organ.
A side effect of a steroid might change people's anxiety level, or it might change maybe a certain food preference, but it's going to be random in relationship to the preferences and personality of the donor. In order for that change to match the donor, there has to be some coupling, and that coupling is not going to come from the drug. Now, the drugs may facilitate sometimes those connections, but they're not causing the match. The matches can only be explained by some sort of memory or informational connection.
I don't think the anti-rejection drugs, as toxic as they may be, could explain the specific information that gets transferred. That would have to be pure luck or some actual mechanism of transference from the donor to the recipient.
So it appears to be too much of a coincidence to be the drugs. Dr. Stuart Hameroff has a radical theory that suggests something almost beyond belief. Can the human heart actually store our memories?
It's not only the brain that can store memory. We have muscle memory. We learn to play tennis, and there's information stored in the nerves that control the muscles. And the heart has a lot of neurons. Outside of the brain, that's one of the largest collections of neurons in the body. The nodes that control the beating of the heart and the conduction and the synchrony of the muscles, so the heart beats together synchronously, are fairly a substantial complex of neurons. Ganglia, AV nodes that form a network of neurons inside the heart.
Neurons are specialized cells that transmit information via electrical impulses and chemical signals throughout the body's nervous system. The information they carry allows us to move, think, learn, and feel. Most neuroscientists believe that long-term memories are stored exclusively by neurons in the brain. Dr. Hameroff has a more radical theory. He believes memories can also be stored by neurons in other parts of the body, within a cellular structure called a microtubule.
Microtubules seem to be the most likely site for memory to be housed, because we know that in Alzheimer's disease, where you lose memory, it's the microtubules in the brain neurons that fall apart. So there's a number of avenues of evidence to lead to the fact that the microtubules are housing and storing memory. But it would be focused and more prevalent in parts of the body that have the most neurons, the most microtubules, namely the brain and the big nervous ganglia like the heart.
If Dr. Hameroff is right, memories can be stored by microtubules in the brain, the heart, and the spinal cord, or anywhere else there are neurons. This could explain why, when Bill Wall got a heart transplant, he got a memory transplant too.
Dr. Hameroff came to his theory of memory initially by studying neurons and anesthesia, and then extending that to other organs, particularly the heart. So he's looking at a very special case of how a particular component of a cell can have memory. And I wouldn't disagree with it.
Throughout human history, poets and philosophers have invested the heart with powers and meaning beyond that of a simple organ. In Papua New Guinea, victorious warrior tribes would consume the hearts of the vanquished to absorb their qualities. In the arts, the heart has always been seen as the source of all love and passion. Who could refrain that had a heart to love, and in that heart courage to make love known? That's Shakespeare. The heart is central to our culture, and it is our own center. From the heart, everything flows. Now, some scientists believe the heart literally has a mind of its own. But could memory and intelligence be found in more than our hearts and heads? Could it be coursing through our whole bodies? Dr. Schwartz's theory takes things a step further. He thinks memory can be stored in all cells throughout the body, not just the neurons, thanks to something called feedback.
Feedback is the essence of learning and memory. Now, that same feedback process operates at any level. It's what operates within the neurons that allow the neurons to learn between them. But that same feedback that allows the neuron cells to learn is feedback that can operate within the interconnected network of cells in the heart or the lungs or any other organ. That's why feedback memory is, if you would, a universal memory model, which then can in unique ways be applied to any system at any level.
Feedback occurs when a past event influences the response to the same event in the present or future. According to Schwartz, this loop allows individual cells to have a sort of memory.
That's another thing about these feedback loops, is a recurrent process. Each time you repeat the process over and over again, it makes the memory stronger.
Could our individual cells have a form of memory? Schwartz believes they do. And what's more, he thinks he can prove it.
We typically think of muscle memory as being mostly the brain, but it turns out the muscles have the potential to learn as well, because all muscles have feedback, ergo feedback memory and muscle memory in the muscles themselves.
Schwartz can show this principle in action. A person is able to train his muscles to shoot basketball hoops using feedback so that he continues to hit the basket even when blindfolded. According to Schwartz, it is not just groups of tissue that can have memories, he thinks it is possible that every single cell in the body can store information.
Since feedback loops are operating at every level in the body, at every level, there's going to be theoretically memory and to various degrees learning at every level in the body. And so this is not a theory about brain learning or heart learning. It's really even not a theory about cellular learning per se. It's a theory about feedback learning, and to the extent that cells have feedback loops, then they will learn as well.
Although unproven, this theory could help explain the cases of transplant recipients who report receiving the donor's memories, tastes, and behavior along with their new organ. Interesting, but unfortunately all theoretical. Maybe to find the answer to this mystery, we should take a look at a different organ, the human brain. Maybe, just maybe, now that Bill has his new heart and his health, it's gone to his head. Could getting a new lease on life convince you that you are a whole new person? Bill doesn't think it's all that simple.
Certainly just getting a transplant and a second chance at life changed me in a major way, but I also totally believe that certain characteristics of my donor have become a basic part of my life, and I feel that this is the cellular memory that's changed my life, and I honestly feel made me a better person, a happier person, and I actually love now caring and helping and wanting to make a difference.
Most neuroscientists remain skeptical that cellular memory exists at all. Nevertheless, Bill Wall believes memories, just like organs, can be transplanted. One thing is true, Bill's experiences have definitely been weird, or what?